So I am going to call to order, and we're going to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Should we bring that?
No, you're fine.
All right. You're going to, okay, ready, set, go. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Stephen, for reminding us that we used to do that. We are gonna take a look at the agenda. There was some last minute requests for some changes. I'm gonna make those comments and see if everybody's okay with that. We are going to move up line item E1 to after the agenda, and then possibly, if everybody's okay with this, also moving up G, the Parks and Recreation matters, after the consent calendar.
Public comment.
After public comment, so that we can get home for something.
Do you have extra? I don't have this. Do you have
an agenda?
Yeah, agenda, yes.
Is there any issues with the board on that?
Sounds good to me.
No. All
As long
right.
as you remember what it's supposed to say.
I made arrows.
Okay, cool.
I think I got it.
You need a motion second.
Yeah, can I have a motion, please?
I'll second. I'll second.
Did you get that,
Or
George?
second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so agenda is adopted. So we are going to move to talk about a certain special person who's here with us. We're going to do a proclamation recognizing Ron for his contributions to the fire protection service in Marinwood and Lucas Valley, including 46 years of service on the Marinwood CSD Fire Commission and 13 years as the CSD rep. I'm going to hand it over to Bill.
It gives me great honor to announce this proclamation. The Marinwood Community Services District. Whereas Ron Marinoff served as a volunteer firefighter with the Marinwood Volunteer Fire Department from 1965 to 1977. And whereas in 1966, Ron Marinoff served as a representative of Lucas Valley HOA in the creation of Marinwood CSD Ordinance 38, allowing for the Marinwood Fire Department to provide fire protection services to Upper Lucas Valley, thus leading to the formation of County Service Area 13. And whereas in 1971, Ron Marinoff served as representative of County Service Area 13 in the creation of a joint powers agreement formalizing financial terms between Marinwood CSD and County Service Area 13 for fire protection services, a financial framework still applied to this day. And whereas upon his resignation from the Marinwood Volunteer Fire Department in 1977, Ron Marinoff was appointed to the Marinwood CSD Fire Commission as an official representative of County Service Area 13. And whereas Ron Marinoff participated in his final Marinwood CSD Fire Commission meeting on December 5th, 2023, therefore be it resolved that the Marinwood Community Services District Board of Directors do hereby recognize Ron Marinoff in conclusion of his 46 years of volunteer service on the Marinwood CSD Fire Commission and offer our deepest appreciation for his outstanding efforts in countless hours expelled in selfless serving the community of Marinwood, Lucas Valley for the greater benefit of all.
Should we get a
Thank you.
photo?
Is
Bill,
there
hold on, we're
a
gonna
check
get
enclosed for,
Yes, the same,
for all the money I was
the
supposed to
same
get?
amount that we get every month.
It's that extra zero we were talking
Can
about.
I get a picture of you handing it to
Yeah.
me, please?
Oh, God.
Sorry, you wanted to read it, it's official.
Get in there.
back.
That's what slimming, put the slimming right in front of you.
Yeah.
We
Did you get my
also-
best side?
Can I add a few
Yeah,
things,
we
if
have
you don't
some
mind? Because there's only so much space to work with in the proclamation template here. Some other notable items for Mr. Marinoff, obviously, he moved when he bought his home in Lucas Valley in 1962. In 1963, he volunteered for what was at the time the Lucas Valley Volunteer Fire Department, which shortly thereafter became defunct. At some point in time, which we couldn't quite pin down, he served as a commissioner on the Marin County Planning Commission. In 2016, Ron was very instrumental in helping us finance the new fire engine, for which we actually, it's not new anymore, but for which we recognized him at the time by finding a way to work with the county to provide CSA 13's entire share of payment upfront as part of the initial down payment, which greatly reduced interest and monthly or annual lease payments on the fire engine. And I can say in the last 9 years of my being in this position, I have certainly enjoyed working with Ron. Ron has worked with multiple fire chiefs, all 3 district managers, multiple board members, and several staff that have come through here. And Ron, you are a character, and sometimes the things you say make me incredibly happy that you're not an employee here. But you will be missed, and I do like to joke with Ron that he initially got on the fire commission and started joining with the volunteer fire departments because it was shortly before that time that fire was actually discovered. So Ron, you will be missed. I thank you for everything. You've been a good friend, you've been a good comrade, and you've been a good sounding board when I needed somebody to bounce things off of. So thank you on a very personal level. And then I also received this today from County Supervisor Sackett's office, who also wanted to recognize.
You don't want to be in the background?
Who also wanted to recognize all of your efforts and accomplishments and support that you've given to this community. They apologize sincerely that they were not able to attend today, but certainly wanted to let you know that you were in their thoughts and were being recognized at a county level as well.
Well, thank you.
Sir.
Really wonderful.
Appreciate you, Ron.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Speech.
Yeah, do you have any words of wisdom to give us before?
Well, I'm still waiting for my first paycheck as the chairman of the fire commission, and they told me not to worry, it'll accrue. So, no, it was the most rewarding unpaid job I've ever had. It was a pleasure working with various and assorted board members, and also various and assorted members of the board of the Lucas Valley Homeowners Association. And actually, when I tell people who don't live in Marin County, I live in Lucas Valley, and they say, well, why do you want to live so far out? And I said, yeah, it's 6 minutes to the freeway. It's really far out. But we were sort of lost for so many years, which is good, because government left us alone. And that was a real benefit, and I think you've gained from that situation also. You've done such a good job of governance that the higher authorities in the county have left you alone. And now there's sort of the prospect or threat, however you may want to look at it, about more development along Lucas Valley Road, and we'll see how that works out. But the service provided by this fire department, although it was more medical help and first aid through the years than was necessary for the number of fires. And that is something that the community will always be grateful for, because there's any number of people whose lives were either saved or preserved due to the rapid response of the Brentwood Fire Department for medical aid. And I think it's going to continue that way, and the community is going to have the benefit of the experience of the department. So I enjoyed my, 50 years association with the fire service, both as a volunteer firefighter with the Lucas Valley Volunteer Fire Department, which met with the one county fireman who was stationed at the county farm with a grass rig. That's how isolated we were. And it worked out very well for those of us. There were 18 of us who were volunteers at the time and lived in Upper Lucas Valley. And we'd respond to training every month, and occasionally there would be a call, but there were only 2 structural fires in County Service Aid 13 in the 55 years I've lived there, and we just want to keep it that way. And there were very few also in Marinwood. So I want to thank the board for its diligence and for its interest in the welfare of the community, because this is a unique, self-governing, small district in the county. And what it did in buying 286 acres of open space for $300,000 is really worthy of a Nobel Prize, I think, because you can't buy a tiny piece of property anywhere in Marin County for $286,000. And we bought the hills. And we bought our hills after Marinwood bought their hills. And between the two of us, we've saved a memorable amount of open space. And it's the farsightedness of the taxpayers who were willing to pay. In this day and age, it seems like a tiny amount of money, but it wasn't so tiny 50 years ago. And it worked out extremely well. And I want to thank you all for volunteering your services to the district and to the community at large. And hopefully you'll be guardians of the wonderful life everybody has been living out here. And we got to be very careful of what the county might or might not do on the other side of Lucas Valley Road. And we were lucky that George Lucas decided not to build a mammoth movie studio on his property up by Big Rock, which would have amounted to a horrendous amount of traffic on Lucas Valley Road. We really lucked out on that. And you're having the last development under construction right now. I think it's 24 or 25 units. And that'll complete the community, and that'll add somewhat to the cash flow for the district, which is very important. But once again, it gave me a great deal of satisfaction being a volunteer firefighter and later on being a fire commissioner. And I think that kind of selfless volunteer work is to be highly recommended for everyone who can squeeze out the time to devote to it. So thank you once again.
Does anybody else from the public? Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I just want to thank Ron and point out that people like Ron, volunteers, they're the backbone of the community. you know, the valley is what it is because of Ron and other people. And I would ask the staff to maybe record his comments for future people and maybe put it up on the website, because it's interesting. And one thing that we're lacking today is the spirit of volunteering, yeah, I guess you call it volunteering, like Ron has done his whole life. So thanks, Ron, and let's not pass on the opportunity to pass on his wisdom to other people in the community.
Oh, one other comment. I knew I wasn't going to get paid as a volunteer firefighter, but when I got appointed to the Marin County Planning Commission, I stopped by the office to give them my information. They said, well, what is your social security number? And I said, well, what do you want that for? He said, oh, we're going to pay you $50 a meeting to come to the Planning Commission once a month. So that was the additional income I've gotten during the time I served on the County Planning Commission. But that was a real shock to me. I said, what? I'm getting paid to do this? Amazing. But anyway, thank you all once again.
Thanks, Ron, appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciated all my time with Ron, and usually it was over budget, and I hope that the community is going to appoint another budget hawk. Not a cheapskate. Ron's not a cheapskate, but every penny had to be justified. He was sharp. And kept me on my toes.
Yes.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other members of the public? No? Ron, I served with you for a year, no, 2 years on the fire commission, and I loved the meetings. They were always colorful and lots of history and knowledge that I dearly appreciate, and I know that the chiefs that came in after we had our retirement appreciated the history that you had to give us. So again, thank you for all your years and your knowledge, and hopefully you have something fun to do in the time that you would have been spending with us.
Well, thank you. Just the main reason that I'm retiring from the commission is my birthday is in February. I'm going to be 90.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
got to turn it over to some young whippersnappers now to get active in the community. And
90 years old is when we start paying for being a commissioner. Why? Just missing the pot.
I want the lump sum payment. You've been holding that back. I know. You've been investing it.
That's so great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So moving on to the consent calendar. Is there any questions?
I will bid you adieu. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Have a good night, you guys.
Good to see you, Chief.
See you guys.
Is there any questions regarding the draft minutes of regular meeting or from the November 14th and the December 5th, or any questions about the bills paid? Is there any questions from the public?
Nope.
Okay. Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor of approving the consent calendar?
Aye.
It was just a consent calendar.
Yes. All right. Now we are going to talk about the public comment, open time for items not on the agenda. Speakers may comment only on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the district. The board may not take action on, consider, or debate items not on the agenda except under narrow circumstances, meeting statutory tests. Response to comments on non-agenda items will be limited to factual information or clarifying questions from staff or board at the conclusion of the public comment period. The president may refer the matter to the staff or to future meeting agendas.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
You didn't talk about the previous agendas. Actually, it was, my comments are, congratulations for your 6-minute meeting to approve more taxes. I think that's a record. I'm being a little bit sarcastic there. I am so greatly, you know, I went to school at a time where we pledged allegiance and we talked about representative democracy. And who is it that you represent? You are representatives of the people. However, I never, ever, ever hear anything but 100% agreement to every budget request, every crazy little thing that goes on at the Marinwood CSD, and I suppose each one of you view your position as supporting the staff. And it's fine to support the staff, we've got good staff, but your real role is leaders of the community. Be like Ron Marinoff, be the budget hawks, be the ones that question the direction that staff is leading us, if appropriate. Congratulate them when they do good things. I'm amazed that you can't put in park benches for our seniors. That's disgusting, and each one of you bears that responsibility. What are you doing except raising taxes? And you're not, this isn't even representative democracy, you guys, and I hate to throw it out, but you guys run this like a Soviet-style Politburo, and I think you can do better. What have you done? Well, we've got a drinking area for the guys on Friday nights. You know, it just, you guys don't do anything outside this little bubble that you have, and I'm really tired of it. That's why I spend as little time as possible. I suppose you like that, but I just figure you guys are deaf and don't care, and I hope to God that we can get some Ron Marinoffs in the community to volunteer and say, yes, we can make a better Marinwood. We deserve it. Our children deserve it. Our parents who've lived here their whole lives deserve our best. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Would you like to comment? Okay. All right, we are now going to move on to how we edited our agenda. We are going to skip to the Parks and Rec matters. And is there any questions from the draft minutes of the Park and Recreation Commission meeting on the 28th?
But weren't we gonna?
We already went through the consent
No,
calendar.
we're doing Parks and Recreation matters. We're doing the draft minutes of the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. So we're looking at
That's one of
that.
the switches.
That's one of the.
Oh, I thought it was just Luke was gonna present was the switch.
We moved the whole thing.
I didn't know I was almost up.
Yeah, you're almost done. All right. So is there any questions or commentary that we want to make on the draft minutes specifically? No? Okay. And now, it is all Luke.
Did Chris have anything on
But
the
did
meeting?
Chris, but I asked Chris if he had anything.
Well, I don't have any
Or,
questions.
okay, statements.
Right?
Statements. Okay,
I'm
thank
ready.
you,
You have
statements.
to go home and get those notes.
I did. It was actually, I was super happy with the meeting in the sense that I thought a lot of great things were discussed, a lot of things that would benefit the community potentially in the future. You know, some creative thinking and just, I thought it was really a great meeting where we took care of business and also kind of did a little bit of, you know, just kind of pondering what the near and far future look like. I think the biggest point, and you guys correct me if I'm missing anything, we did have a discussion about e-bikes, because that was brought up. We did just the concept of keeping an eye on what the county is doing, and you know, whether we decide to be in line or not in line. We talked about our own existing ordinances that seem to cover this, if not mentioning e-bikes, something similar to you know, motorized vehicles. So I thought that was a great conversation.
Is that something that we're gonna put a sign up with just what the current laws are? or-
The conversation was about waiting waiting a little bit to see what the county
Okay.
was going, because it's a real conversation at the county right now. And then, being very aware of that and contacting the people that we need to contact regarding
Okay.
that, and then kind of, then deciding what we would do after that.
Yeah, because the big
Right.
question is, you can have a sign, but how do you use?
Well, and just to be clear,
Towards that.
this was discussed briefly as part of the review of the board minutes,
Right.
because there was a mention to it in the board minutes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there was no decisions or
Okay.
even,
Yeah, it was chatter.
Right.
Yeah, it's, my big
Yeah.
concern is,
It was not.
how do you enforce something like that? So-
And I think was one of the questions that came up, if we were to move in that direction. But that the PNR commission would keep an eye on that, and then,
Perfect.
you know.
Sounds
We talked about pickleball,
Oh.
right? And, you know, just kind of talked about our thought process, in terms of how familiar we are with it, the fact that it could be an additive, potentially, additive thing, and how we would go about that. And the real big discussion was, it has to start with a lot of, you know, community outreach and discussion, and it's not something that we would, that the PNR would recommend lightly without taking up a lot of research and conversation.
With the tennis community as,
Absolutely,
well.
yes,
Yeah.
they are
Not- I mean, not
members
just
of,
our
members of the
community,
public.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've got the recreation update that we're gonna get, I'm sure, tonight too. It was just, again, it was a cool meeting to discuss what we're doing and what potentially could happen in the future, with a lot of discussion still to follow.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how the tennis, I mean, maybe I'm saying this, I understand tennis wrong, but there's new racket courts, is that different than tennis? That are out by Gravity Vault that just opened?
You're talking about pickleball,
Is that
right?
pickleball out
Yes,
there? Okay.
yes.
So, wondering if the need here might change if there's one just down the road. I don't
And
know.
that was kind of brought up too,
Yeah.
right?
They were
So,
just open, okay,
yeah.
alright. Go ahead, Luke.
Great, I thought that was a good summation, Chris. I thought it was a great meeting as well. It was really good to kind of work through some of those topics, and that was a good discussion. The biggest news on the recreation front was our annual winter concert that took place last Friday, Jingle Bell Jazz, as we've been calling it, which was great. It was I think it was the third time we've done this particular type of event, where we've had a Christmas concert with Santa Claus doing photos with kids and some arts and crafts, some refreshments and treats, and it went really well. I think it was our best turnout for that event that I can remember. The place was just packed and it was great. We had a food truck this year, which was new for this event, and that was a good option to go and get some dinner, and that was nice. And the music was great, the turnout was great. We ran out of everything. We're scrambling, trying to make more hot chocolate, trying to find more treats, and it was very chaotic, but everyone had a great time, and we were really happy with the results. So that was a super fun event. And one thing that's never happened before, Santa broke the chair, which he just had such a great time, and you know, so jolly. So repairs are underway to get that ready for the Santa on the fire truck event coming up this weekend. But so it was worth it. And so it was great. Our next special event will be our annual Raise a Glass wine tasting event coming up on March 2nd. So we're preparations are underway. We're securing last minute wineries and getting everything ready for that. So that'll be on Saturday, March 2nd from 2 to 5. We're going to be running 2 weeks of winter break camp over the school break this December, in a couple weeks here, which we do every year. And so this is run, we utilize our summer camp staff that are home for the winter break, and it's always a good time. It's great to get our staff back. Robin and John Paul always utilize this time to meet with their senior staffs, do some planning for the summer, and allow up-and-comers to sort of interview for new positions for the next summer season. And so it's always a great time. We've already started that process. And we're doing a lot of prep for our spring and summer catalog of classes and our schedule of programming. And our spring-summer Marinwood review should be out in mid-February, and things are on track for that. And then on the parks maintenance side of things, a couple big exciting things. We got two benches installed in the open space up on Queenstone Fire Road on November 21st. Thanks to Chris and to Commissioner Ian Fine for helping identify some good locations for those. And we've received some positive feedback from those. People seem to be enjoying having an opportunity to sit and we enjoy some good views. So those are up there. I kind of put some mileage so you can find your way up there, but they're hard to miss. If you walk up Queenstone Fire Road, you find two benches. Yeah. So that's good weather for that, and I went well.
Sit on a bench, not an old man.
And while we were actually up there, we received a lot of positive feedback from just passersby. Saying, "Oh, thank you, can't wait to use light." We're like, "Don't sit on it yet. The cement's still wet." We actually had to guard a couple of them because we don't want them to get all wonky when people sat on them early. So
Santa didn't come out.
no, Santa was not up there.
How pretty that is.
And the other big news is the playground. So just a quick update. We are planning on opening the playground to the public tomorrow.
What time?
10 a.m. We arbitrarily decided on. So we'll do a little ribbon cutting in the morning. But
I can come by 10.
so yeah, installation of the equipment was completed Friday, December 1st. There were a couple pieces that didn't get delivered on time that we had to wait on to get put in. Those were installed today or yesterday. Was it yesterday? Today?
Yesterday.
Yeah. And we had our third-party certified playground safety inspector come out and do the inspection last week. We got that report today. The playground has been certified as safe and meets all requirements. So it's been certified a usable playground. So that was one thing we were waiting on. And we got a fresh batch of wood chip fall material delivered on Friday.
It looks great.
Yeah, it's looking really
It looks
nice.
So bouncy.
Yeah, it's very bouncy. Yeah. And then
Did you try it out?
Yeah.
so everything's ready to go, and we cleaned it up a little bit today. Everything had a layer of wood chip dust that was from all the fog and everything was just stuck there. So we cleaned it up today. It should be all ready to go tomorrow. The staff is also working on installing a new drinking fountain. There was a drinking fountain in the playground, and the water line got chewed up during construction. So they re-ran that, and we got a new drinking fountain there. So they're still hooking up the last minute hookups to that, and hopefully we're ready tomorrow. It might be another day before that's operational, but it'll be very soon. And
it's sandproofed so that the kids don't clog the drains.
It is drainless. It just runs down gravity off the end and down into a drain house. So
Nice.
we were very strategic in which one we picked for that. And they got some new sand in the sandbox today, and everything's looking really freshened up, and we're really excited.
Where are you guys putting the new sign that they took out this morning that was on the lawn? Just out of curiosity.
So there's a sign already in the playground that
okay.
states some of that same information, but in a less ostentatious giant way, So there is a sign in the playground that states the intended age and the company name and everything. And there will be some additional signage that we put in that's required by our grant funding. And we had another sign location closer to the swings that we'll probably utilize for that.
But it won't be on the lawn anymore.
No.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, that was why is this here? One of those things that you don't notice after many years of work. It's there's a playground sign here in the middle of the grass. So
That kids run into all the time.
yeah, we're happy to pull that out. So that came out yesterday and
This morning.
Or this morning, yeah, it was this morning. That's right. So we're excited about that, and that'll be tomorrow. So we'll be excited to try it out. We'll have our preschool kids in the morning probably christen that.
Test it.
Test it out. It's a pretty exciting playground. So it'll be I think it'll be really popular and probably make us a little bit of a destination for a little while. So we're excited about that.
Is it gonna be a fast slide? Looks like a fast slide.
There's a couple fast slides. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went down there today. I was cleaning it off. They're pretty excited. So we're really excited to see the installation of a new, modern, exciting playground. I think we picked a really good one. And, a couple notes of observation people have made is that for some reason the orientation of the playground, maybe the way it's laid out and the colors and everything, it really accentuates the trees in the area. The big oak tree that's right over this, it makes all of that kind of pop out in a way that the old structure didn't for some reason, and it really just all kind of blends in nicely. It's been really cool. So we're really excited. I think everyone's been really positive that's walked by all the construction that's been going on. So we're really excited to see how the classes use it, the public, the camps, and I think it'll be a really nice addition to our community center. So we're very happy about that. And we've got a lot of other stuff coming up as the rains come. The staff's got some erosion control work that we're going to be doing in the creek. We've already started some of that, and we have a few other projects coming down the way. But that's all I really wanted to touch on. Please let me know if anyone has any additional questions or comments. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you again for you guys for doing all that work and doing research and working with the company and picking up stuff that makes our part pop and blend at the same time. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you and peace.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and thanks for accommodating my scheduling needs tonight.
You're welcome, and it's okay not to come and discuss. All right, so now we're doing another jump. We're going back to district matters, and we're doing the big thing on the district matters, which is number 2, the election of board officers for calendar year of 2024. We are looking for somebody to raise their hand for board president and vice president.
Can we nominate people?
You can nominate whoever you want.
I
Go
would
for it.
nominate Kathleen as president.
Second.
I'll third it. Fourth. Oh boy.
Apparently it's unanimous. And I will nominate Chris Case as vice president.
I'll
He'd be
second.
perfect because he's hardly here during the summer.
Right? Just have to like follow in your footsteps. It'll be perfect.
Correct, I'll send you my
Yes.
calendar.
Excellent.
And then you can book your vacations.
Okay.
All right, so I
Awesome.
think we have, do we need to vote? Or is that a second
We
or
need
third?
to elect.
Do we, all right.
You can.
I solemnly swear to tell the truth.
Somebody wants to make a motion for both positions and somebody wants to second it.
I motion that Kathleen be the president for the 2024-2025 year, and that Chris be the vice president.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes except for.
Congratulations.
You decided not to vote for yourself?
Well, I'm not a voter for myself. I'm going to abstain on that one, right?
You made the quorum work. There you
All
go.
right, and make sure you note that Chris abstained for him. Sorry. I didn't hear you say aye.
No, I
But
didn't.
we need to have it for record.
I got you.
I'm sorry. All right, we're gonna go on to district manager's report.
How do I follow that? Okay, just a few items of note here. I mean, obviously the big project still ongoing is the creek bank slide repair. Work does continue on that. They've poured a lot of concrete. Right now they're basically out of the creek channel and they are now in the, working on the top of the bank and the retaining wall. They've poured all of the concrete stems which serve as the primary support for the wall. Some of them go as deep as like 18 feet down, so it's not a weak wall by any stretch, and they poured all of the foundation. When I was out there yesterday looking at it, they were framing up the wall itself, and then once that is all framed up, they'll run the pour for the retaining wall, which is kind of tiered at different heights, or different depths anyway, depending on how, in relation to the hillside. I did join our engineer, Matt Smeltzer from Geomorph Design Group for his final inspection on the creek channel work. He did conclude all of the work to be substantially compliant and complete in accordance with his design plans. There was only a couple very minor modifications that he suggested, which are 5-minute fixes. So he was very happy with how it came out. And I think I also mentioned that we had the contracted biologist came out and did a final study on everything, and she released a report saying that they were in compliance with all of the environmental regulations and requirements throughout the life of the project. So all of that is working good. We actually met yesterday with the project manager from the contractor just to kind of go over the final fence plan and gate plan for, because it took off a big chunk of cyclone fence that sat back there, which is actually we're required to have because it is a pool facility and it's kind of a safety measure. So that is actually going to be built right into and on top of the concrete retaining wall, so we can maximize space for that, which will be great. Still on track, tentatively scheduled to be completed sometime around, most likely more like mid-February. And again, the big thing is having that creek channel work done, even if the big rain started tomorrow, stealing the phrase exactly from our creek engineer, said you are out of the woods. It can certainly withstand a lot of water moving through there without further compromising the bottom of the bank in the creek channel. So that is very good news. Continue to work with FEMA. I did get one level of bad news, and we did try to appeal, and even with our FEMA rep, but right now they are declaring that the waterproofing work is ineligible for hazard mitigation funding, sorry. However, California OES will now take a look at it, and they still may approve it for the mitigation funding. We are scheduled to have a sit down soon with the waterproofing engineer along with the project manager, just to make sure we're clear on scope, because there seemed to be some level of confusion with the bid, that the scope of work that they bid out is probably greater than the actual scope of work that is needed and was planned for in the design. So that might get brought down, and if it does in any substantial way, they'll obviously have a credit back change order on that. So more to come on that. Even still, the total amount on that was like $40,000 as part of the bid package. We are moving forward with it. We contracted with them to do it. It's a needed thing. I do understand why FEMA is declaring it ineligible by their standards, even though I don't fully agree with that. It didn't suffer significant damage, and that's what mitigation is supposed to be for. But at any rate, neither here nor there. We want to solve the problem from further water intrusion and potentially compromising the foundation of that building. So all sorts of drainage will be applied and built into that too. So that'll be good. Otherwise, we continue to work. I continue to, we won't have any final determinations from FEMA for several months. So this is just kind of a closing paragraph that I just keep in there. But it's going to be at least springtime before we have any final determinations on funding obligations from them. But the nice thing is the work is getting done, and no matter what happens this winter, we are in much better shape than that building has ever been in. So we're looking good. Any questions on that project before I move on?
No, I was gonna confirm how much it was for the waterproofing, but you gave us that, so.
Yeah.
No, we kind of figured that FEMA wasn't going to carry
Yeah.
the waterproofing into the.
I had a thought on it the whole time. I was hoping that they would, and our rep, who is actually an independent contractor hired by FEMA just to fill these roles during disasters, also felt he was not impressed and was surprised and disappointed that they turned it down, but he's helping us with the OES mitigation funding, so we'll see where they come in at. But OES isn't going to come in on anything until after FEMA makes their final financial obligation. So down the line, but again, it's not like it's something we can't afford. If nobody picks this up, it's money well spent to preserve the integrity of that building.
Yeah, that's what we had discussed at the beginning, so.
Of the pool.
Yeah.
So then it would be the grant, what was the percentage that FEMA
93.
minus?
Well, it gets tricky. So FEMA, in theory, covers 75% of the total cost. And then Cal OES comes in and covers 75% of the remaining. If you do the math, it actually equals 93.5% of actual dollars spent. FEMA's repair projection is actually higher than what I think we're gonna wind up spending on it. So it'll be reduced accordingly. They don't give you money that you don't spend, and you can't document, so.
Correct, but it would be in reality now it'd be 75% minus that 40,000.
No, that 40,000 is what would be mitigation. So if you look at the primary contract, which I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, it would be 75%. It would be 93.5% of the primary job, which is all of the creek work and the retaining wall, everything except for the $40,000 waterproofing component.
We had that separate,
Yeah.
because we knew that this
Yeah.
may
Yeah.
become an issue, and so we wanted to have it.
As an
So it was a
add-on.
nice, so that when we
That's
did
right.
send it to FEMA,
Yeah.
it didn't cause issues.
Paying attention, and I'm just a rubber stamp board. Sorry, I couldn't.
I mean,
resist.
I read it, I process it, I ask questions, but.
Yeah, no, you are exactly right, Kathleen, you're right. So it'd be of that primary
I love
contract,
hearing that.
and then the add-on would be something separate. But again, I'm not giving up hope that we'll be able to get some level of reimbursement funding for that as
Will
well.
we raise taxes for this?
I mean,
No.
Okay,
That-
moving on, we covered the playground in depth, as Luke alluded to, there's a couple little administrative steps left that we have to complete and submit in order to receive the reimbursement or the grant amount, keeping in mind, again, the grant amount was, $1,777 and change for a project that's gonna cost around $225,000, so, it's very nice when you can get 75% of something funded. One is we have to put up some very specific signage, which is nice that we have a little place to put it. It kind of recognizes the funding. And then another thing that we've done, and I'm waiting to get the final recorded copy back, is we had to put a restriction on the property deed, basically stating that the property would be used for this purpose for the life of the grant contract, which is 20 years. The property is the entire parcel that stretches all the way around and is always going to be a park, so that was an easy restriction in place. And county council worked with us, got it notarized, and they were submitted it on our behalf, so that way we don't have to pay any recording fees.
and this is a common thing that happens when you get grants.
This is a requirement of a state grant, yes, whenever you take government
And
money.
it doesn't say anything about the way that we are conducting our finances or anything, it's just.
No,
a requirement that
it's-
is needed.
It is basically a property deed restriction stating that this property, which is currently a park, will stay a park for the next 20 years.
Just wanted to.
Yeah, no, we're good. Just a couple other items to note, Tiffany and myself, we've been working hard on trying to get the audit done with a goal of being able to present by the January meeting. Typically, it's the February meeting. Last year, it went all the way to the March meeting, but that was because the audit firm we started with closed up and got picked up by one of their partners, so that set us back. They are working hard on the auditor's side to try to meet this for us, because this is based on our request. We did start a little bit earlier in being able to get them stuff than what we've been able to do in the past, but they might not be able to meet that. We're not their only client. So it might be presented in February, but it would be done well before that. Either way, we're still kind of on track for all the other things that we stated that the audit would be something that we would look out for. And then finally, just, as is tradition, Santa Claus coming to town. This Saturday, Santa will be touring with the Marinwood Fire Department all throughout the neighborhood, and what will be a long day. I'll be driving the sleigh. I do want to highlight two of our fire commissioners, one John Surratt, the other is Greg Stilson, who has, both of them were long involved and heavily involved with the volunteer fire department. John has all of the proper licensing to be able to operate the Type 3 and the Type 1 fire engine, so he will be driving it all day. Greg will be with him. On a side note about Greg, with Ron's departure, Greg has been the longtime CSA 13 alternate.
He's probably so thrilled. He's probably so thrilled.
Yeah, well, and he kind of has been disengaged for several years, and I used the opportunity to give him a call and see if he would be willing to re-engage as the regular member for CSA 13. He was at the last meeting, and he told me he is in. For those of you who know Greg, he is a sharp, dedicated person who is truly an asset to have on any support or advisory board that we could possibly get him on. So I was really excited that he agreed to get back in, and I respect and enjoy working with Greg immensely. So that said, just big thanks to both of them for giving up an entire Saturday during a busy holiday season simply to bring some joy to the thing. And then obviously thanks to the on-duty crew who, as allowable, will be following around and, with the Type 1 engine as well.
I hope that everybody gets a picture of Santa on Saturday, please.
We always give a present, but we don't usually do.
It depends.
No, you, not the kids.
No, my kids are, they're good.
We'll see
Do
if
you
you
have a
put-
schedule?
I don't have it, we do have it, I don't wanna misquote it. It'll be very similar to what we did last year, because we came up with a decent little plan. I don't remember what time we were where, but I will put something out probably tomorrow on social media, just as a reminder that we'll be around on Saturday with a very loose schedule so as not to tie into anything. I will say if,
What was your question?
do we have a
When?
schedule of when and where?
Like when where you're starting the first street.
Yeah, I will say, if you are gone in the morning or whatever the case is,
Drive around.
you are, yeah, A, follow the sirens, or B, you're welcome to just call me up and I'll let you know where we are, or where we're gonna be, and come and meet us.
I mean, I think I did that last year.
Yep.
Or the year before.
I'll wait till they come by the house.
But that's all I got.
All right, wonderful.
thanks.
We do have fire department matters, chief is not here.
It looks good.
But there's the draft minutes, does anybody have any questions about the draft minutes? Or about, maybe Eric can answer some of the chief officer report?
Yeah, we can get to that. Kathleen was at the commission meeting, so I
Do
don't
you
know if
have
she's
some
got
things
anything
that
she
you can
wants
tell
to
us
add.
about?
I don't have any notes like Chris.
Nope.
I mean, our meetings aren't as exciting apparently, except the last meeting.
Maybe
not
when
wrong.
Greg joins, then that'll be. Look at that, we've met so long, you can go on a call and come back.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is,
That's
We're on
It's
fire.
that fast, it's the fast turnout, that's what
we
it is.
definitely
Doing
broached
it.
the idea for a future topic of, trying to look at, potentially more strategic initiatives appropriate for the
Support.
commission to work on. And then we also talked about recruiting needs, to get people onto the commission, because it is a little thin right now.
response time, well under 6 minutes.
The call get canceled?
That was an odor investigation
Yeah.
on Beach Stone.
Otherwise, I don't know if there's any other questions about the commission minutes.
I mean,
Then on the fire chief report, if we're moving on to that, this is the chief report that he provided me. I don't know if Bill maybe has a little extra information on that opening paragraph. I don't know how actively the MWPA board meets.
We're not having a meeting this month. We had our last one for the year in November.
Yeah, and the chief white was gonna try to get me, but this new working group, make recommendations to an ad hoc. I'm assuming, because I'd asked this question to the chief, suggested language changes, I'm assuming that is to some of the formation documents and or the.
Well, because,
and/or the bylaws.
like he said here
Yeah.
about Mill Valley
Uh-huh.
coming off, so they don't have representative anymore because Southern Fire picked up everything, so
Oh,
Okay, makes sense.
it's kind of a merger. And I think there was one other coming, and they're talking about now Tiburon and Belvedere maybe joining. So,
the N,
Interesting.
how do they, on the NW?
How do they
Huh?
join when they opted out?
they were the only ones to opt out.
Correct, so they don't, to my understanding, they don't pay taxes.
If they join, they would,
They would.
Then they would implement it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just
yes.
asking.
If they were to opt in, then the tax would apply, the same parcel tax would apply to everywhere else in the county.
But wouldn't they have to go to, just out of curiosity, would they have to go to the ballot then? Since they voted no on it?
I don't know.
Either
That's
do
on
I.
us.
I don't know if the city council can do it, they might have to put it on the Tiburon, I don't know if you include it just within Tiburon,
And
because.
maybe they did, and we didn't, we don't vote on this.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the other one I found interesting, I actually have a meeting there tomorrow, I wanted to ask about it. But when they were talking about removing the Brown Act language for the advisory technical committee, okay, I'll ask tomorrow. I was just curious if they were just not considering that to be a
First I heard
standing,
of it.
not to be a standing committee,
Oh,
so
so it's standard.
I'll ask tomorrow. Otherwise, and I think, we've definitely brought this up at the other meeting, and I brought it up a little bit at our last meeting, but he included some pictures of some of the vegetation management activities that have been happening. The work looks great. We got it all done in perfect time before things really started to kind of mud up and everything out there.
Yeah.
It's really, it's in good shape. I've gotten a lot of calls and comments just kind of thanking for
As a
the
matter of
work.
fact, I got a comment Friday evening
Great.
from somebody who lives out on Idleberry. It backs up to
Uh-huh.
the open space, and he said, couldn't believe what a great job they did.
It's awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Good, good. And all of that is paid for through MWPA funds. So thank the voters for voting yes. And then.
Response time.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. I'll leave that to him.
Do you want to talk about your response time? Are you guys proud of it? We're proud of
With
it.
the favorite, the slow guy.
Don't take that abuse, Will. No, but it was a lot of work that got done, and you look at it here as an isolated vacuum. This similar type of shaded fuel break work is taking place from northern Nevada down to southern Marin. So it is a lot of much needed, long deferred work. Best practices are being implemented up and down. One area that MWPA has been very, very helpful with is in a lot of the CEQA and environmental compliance things, and they've brought on a lot of people on staff and have formed and found contracts with other vendors that participating agencies can easily tap into that are creating much larger databases of everything as well. So it's just been very nice to have them on board, and the work looks great. And this is, ironically enough, a good time for this work to be happening.
Yeah.
Questions?
I noticed on my walk up the Queenstone,
To your
there's
bench?
still a lot of
Piles.
debris along the sides.
That's a secondary project.
Yeah.
Actually, that is going to be addressed, but that's being addressed as what is the core project.
Okay, yeah.
So that's using
part
the
of the whole-
larger core funding, not our local funding
Right.
for that. But yes, they will go back through and do some cleanup on all of that. The other thing that we need to address too, and it's something I'll put a pitch in for next year with core funding, is that road really
Yeah,
is getting to the point where it needs to be.
Pictures of a few spots
It
that
needs to
were
be regraded.
heavily
Yeah.
eroded.
Yeah, it needs to be regraded and filled. It's been 5, 6, 7 years now since
Has it
we.
been that long already?
Yeah, we brought in a designer, to help with drainage swales.
No,
and everything
those
else, so-
swales are still in place, but
Well,
some of the erosion was just like, in the spots right below the first bench, I go, wow, I don't remember it being this bad.
and the
Down
problem
the
is,
middle of it.
it's so steep
Yeah,
that you have just water runoff moving
Yeah.
very quickly, which is why they try to grade it out the other way, but you still can only grade it so much when you need it as a road.
no, it's just things I noticed.
No, it needs some work. Fire guys were up there not too long ago. They had similar concerns with some of the areas too. And, Lucas certainly noticed. I haven't been up Queenstone for a little while, but
Well,
we have contacts for that.
at least the piles of logs are gone.
Yeah. See if we can utilize some core funding for a larger project on road repair.
Okay. All right. Should we talk about the statistics of how awesome you guys are hanging out?
This is why Wills doesn't come to the meeting.
I'm saying awesome.
Good picking
Like,
on.
amazing. No,
Lots
I'm
of
saying
stuff
awesome.
to do
You're doing a great
next
job.
He doesn't come because he doesn't want to be in pictures.
Last time I came, there was
Otherwise,
a lot
yeah,
more
that's
people
about
here.
it. If anybody has any questions or anything I can
Don't
take
say too
back,
much.
I
get
just,
answers on.
I just have a thank you to our wonderful firefighters, especially for last week, taking some time and throwing guilt at all the kids. They definitely appreciate it, and we're totally got a kick out of the fact that you guys were out there, so thank you.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I guess it was a whole Marin thing, because I got texts from various people that the fire department's first, and maybe next year you guys will talk and discuss what's the best way to do it, but, yeah, thank you. Bye. See if you can beat 5:39. Go.
Otherwise, I think that's about it on that, and we've moved some other things around, so I'm kind
We
of
moved everything
discombobulated on where we are in the
We
total
are,
agenda here right now.
I have followed my notes,
Good.
and we are at the board members' items of interest and requests for future agenda items. Does anybody have anything?
I'm really enjoying the induction of the next president and vice president.
All right.
Sounds like a party. Sounds.
I will
What are you gonna do for
say,
us?
next month,
Snacks.
as your first official act as president, you will appoint liaisons to the two commissions.
Okay. Wait,
So that'll be
I
on the
can't do
agenda.
both?
We
Is that an
rotate,
option?
we rotate, usually. Yeah.
You don't get to do.
You gotta rotate.
the president.
I guess,
You're too important.
opening up a can of worms, I know that we had discussed, we're putting in a new water fountain, and there have been discussions about new benches going in. I realize that that's in the playground area.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering if there is kind of a timeline on those, and then where other ones may,
That'd be a better question for Lou.
okay. All right.
Maybe it could be brought up with the park and rec.
Park and Rec Commission.
Yeah, it would be, I think.
Probably a more appropriate conversation to have at that level as
Yeah.
well. But yes, we are eyeing a couple different spots, but some additional seating areas in the playground.
Along,
Okay.
how about along the park panhandle, just to keep certain individuals quiet?
There was already a discussion with Luke, just so you know.
Okay.
So Luke is already aware of that request.
Okay. All right, anybody else have anything else? All right, then it is 8:32,
Oh my God.
and we are adjourned. Hey, and we will see everybody on January 9th with Kathleen deciding.
Yeah.
All right.